How do you stay shredded year round? Firstly, I appreciate the compliment, but I would say that I am lean and not shredded. The difference between that is in terms of the body fat percentage. I'd hover around 10 to 12% year round, and this is based on performance and also the aesthetic that I'm going for. I want to maximize my relative strength, but I also want to present my muscularity by not having too much fat around my muscles, so that I can convey my message through fitness FAQs and really practice what I preach. Shredded is people competing on a bodybuilding stage. We're talking sub 10% body fat. That is extreme dieting, that is unsustainable. So we should get that idea of maintaining a shredded physique out of our vocabulary. With me, it's all the basic stuff. It's nutrition, it's eating whole foods, it's getting your protein intake, eating lean sources of protein, healthy fats, sufficient carbohydrates to meet my needs for whatever activity I'm doing. It's the other basics, sleeping 8 hours a day, non-negotiable. This feeds into maintaining this physique and also performance that I'm doing as well. Another healthy activity I do is step count, getting in that non-exercise physical activity for caloric expenditure and the whole host of other benefits that walking and steps achieve. 8 to 10,000 steps is what I average on day to help me eat enough food to fuel myself, but also have enough energy expenditure where I can maintain this type of physique. Drugs, alcohol, out of the picture. I don't drink, I don't smoke. This feeds into me living a lifestyle that I can recover, get that sleep in 8 hours a night, and it's a real lifestyle. It's a full commitment if you want to be looking this way. And it's my vocation, it's my profession, it's my passion, and it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make at this stage. Further to this, your training. I've been training for 14 years. Hard, difficult, lots of volume, lots of intensity, focusing on performance progression, on the key compound movements, doing my isolation homework. This all helps to facilitate the aesthetic that I've managed to cultivate after all these years of training. What's also really helpful is tracking your weight. This keeps it objective and you can see if things are trending the way you want it to. I track my weight daily, I take my weekly average. This allows me to remove myself from the day-to-day fluctuations in weight based on different foods, but it also allows me to track my trajectory if I'm looking for a caloric deficit to get leaner, if I'm looking for maintenance to stay where I'm at, or if I'm looking to go on a massing surplus phase. I can just track my weekly averages, tie that into where I'm going, and make the changes that I need. I personally eat intuitively. So as I said with the whole foods, I find that if I eat consistent portion sizes with the main foods that I eat, I can stay within the ballpark of my objectives without going OCD on tracking macros and all that stuff that is potentially required to get even more lean than this. How has your mindset changed as you grow older? Moving on, I'd say that I would embrace simplicity over complexity. When I first started training, you're excited about learning all the latest science, and you see a different exercise, you put in your program. You hear about a different principle of how to design a training program, you play with it. Because you're constantly learning, you're like a sponge. It's just too irresistible not to apply things all the time. And then before you know it, after some years of learning, you got all this information and you're experimenting with all these different things. It becomes really complex. You don't really know what you're doing, what is working. Was it this input? Was it this input? There's just so many variables that are changing all the time. You almost are worse off than the person that doesn't know as much. So for me, I embrace simplicity at large with my exercise selection, with my program design. I apply that to 80% of what I do. It's the big basics. It's nothing glamorous. It's nothing that you don't know. The 20% is relative to my body with what I'm working on, what I'm struggling with, weaknesses as such. But yeah, big on the basics these days. Patience and consistency over intensity. When I was younger, it was all or nothing, as I just said before. Now it's a lot more calculated, it's a lot more methodical. It's a lot more removed from the emotions of wanting it now. I can see the bigger picture. I know things take time. I know that it's the accumulation of workout after workout, week after week, month after month. It's not one good session. It's what I've built over time. And just having that awareness that as you become intermediate and advanced, things take time, and it's very freeing not to be so stressed about individual sessions and know that all that work that I'm doing is paying off, both for my own training and also the impact I have on others. How to maintain a dream physique. So if you're asking this question, you're someone who's been training for more than, say, 3 to 5 years. You've built muscle, you've built strength, you're pretty happy with the level that you've gotten to. You understand the sacrifice that's required to build. You're not willing to do that. Perhaps this is a part of your life where maintenance is something that you want to stick to. That's completely fine. I feel that maintenance isn't really a sexy topic, because you ask anyone how they're going, what are your goals? It's always, I want to improve, higher, 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 always more, not satisfied. Something kind of cool about people that want to maintain for a little bit. It's a decision, and it's one that requires less effort than trying to improve, obviously. So the good news here is that you need less volume to maintain strength and muscle size compared to what's required to improve. So the simplest thing that you can do is reduce your volume. You don't have to do 4 sets of everything. You can reduce that to 2 or 3. As long as if you've got sufficient intensity in your workouts, it is going to put you in a position where maintenance is probable. You're not going to decline, but you're also not going to improve. I think that's commendable. I don't mind this idea of maintaining a dream physique. I think you should still mark your performance. So tracking your training, making sure that you are within similar intensities, you're using the same type progressions, you're using similar weights. With that said, you've still got to commit to the lifestyle. You still got to keep sleeping, you got to keep your nutrition on point, and you've still got to be training with sufficient difficulty and effort, because what was required to build it, you still need to keep those elements in order to maintain what you've got. The body doesn't want to hold on to muscle tissue. It's an expensive metabolic process, and you still have to fight for it through how you eat, your recovery, and sufficient stimulus to make sure your body wants to hang on to that. So you can't just completely disregard everything you've learned and all the habits that you've done with maintenance. It just requires a shift in your laser focus, 100% commitment. You can be a little bit more lax with what you're doing and get away with it.